Ah, you've arrived. Welcome. I'm sorry about the fact that there are no roads for some distance. Really, we try to keep the site preserved as much as possible, as it was when Thain lived here.
Well, it's understandable. I imagine that's what the guide is for.
Indeed. We have a few signs set up as reminders, but really the site is meant to be visited with a curator.
I can imagine.
If you'll step right this way, I'll be happy to show you the world as Thain lived it.
Alright, let's get started. Oh, you even have guide signs.
I do. Those are a recent addition. Took some time to get them painted, but it wasn't the painting, to be honest. It was finding somebody who knew the old script.
Interesting mountain off in the distance.
Indeed, that is actually the site of the cradle. That is where Thain's birth took place and where his home was. We will be visiting there.
In just a moment, I imagine.
Indeed. The sign says, as you'll see, welcome you to Thain's Memoria. Yes.
Nice island.
Yes. Thain was known to experiment with magic in his days. You'll find all sorts of interesting things like that. He worked with waterworks and irrigation. He worked with crafting items from living stone. He was very busy. He wanted to learn as much as possible. He was an inspiration and a guide for us all, even before he was the God King we know him as.
Fair enough. Tell me more of Thain. I hope you don't mind me walking around the site a little bit before we start going along the path.
Not at all. Don't worry about the time of day. The site was set up as much as possible to be explored at any time of day, so long as you're following the torches in the path. So you may not want to stray too far from where we started there. But
don't worry. My sense of direction is fairly good.
Excellent. Thain, as many humans know, Thain was God King of dwarves. Not as many humans know the histories. Thain was the first dwarf. Thain was the one from whom our people descended. He was born just up ahead. Well, not up ahead now, but he was born at the mountain that you were looking at earlier, in a place called the Cradle. Born from the living stone and lava.
Interesting.
Indeed. The gods sent him down, and he found a mate amongst humans on this world. And it is from their meeting that the dwarves descended. Thain stayed with us for quite some time. Being a god king, he was functionally immortal. He took time to develop civilization, taught us its ways. Taught us the right ways to live, you might say. The dwarven love of stoneworking, as well as our respect for nature, come from Thain's edicts. He was a believer in leaving things natural. He understood the wish to touch things up and to improve matters. The signs that were, yes, over by that small, what looked like a small stream. You'll find places like this along the way.
Is it alright for me to go in there, or?
If you can fit, certainly. It is not a large place, but this is believed to be one of Thain's earlier works, in experimenting with irrigation waterworks, as the sign said. Similarly,
can't quite see up there.
There's not really much to see. It goes on for a little ways. Much of the items in the immediate area are like that. There are some pits that were clearly dug out. We believe it was one of Thain's early excavation works in softer material than stone. So we have preserved them and tried to find details. We're currently trying to dig some old tools out of the pits off to your left.
Oh, okay.
Hence the torches over there. Precisely. Some of them are not large pits, others are a little larger and more in-depth. We believe that some tools have been buried in the gravel there, but we are being very careful about their removal. We don't want to damage anything, if at all possible.
Understandable. I should probably stop fiddling around with the pits.
The pits admittedly are not a major feature, but we've left things as they are because different things will be of interest to different people. The site was made to be explored. Yes, the torches will lead on through the trees and lead to the second and third major signposts before we get into the depths of
Interesting
Thain's
shadows in the forest.
Indeed. It's a nice place. The animals do seem to love it here. They feel the same serenity that we do in Thain's presence.
And in the presence of Thain's signs.
Well, the signs we added, but
Yes.
Thain taught us, yes. Thain was a great lover of learning. He planted these reeds here, specifically to harvest them for the making of paper. Similarly, he left these trees as they were. He did his best, even though he was not as great a follower of Gaia's ways, he did his best to not harm her children. That is one reason dwarves have always been such ardently opposed to strip mining, similar techniques.
This looks like lava-made stone, if I'm not incorrect.
You are correct. The lava waterfall up ahead, the lava falls, formed this stone and the cradle from which Thain was born. Right past that sign, in fact, is believed to be the actual cradle that Thain emerged from the stone from.
Very impressive.
Indeed, it is simple, but it is beautiful.
These torches seem to be leading up the hillside?
Yes, we've not put in stairs, we've not done too much to pave or to smooth things out. We've left the hillside as it was. The trees, interestingly, seem to naturally grow in a bonsai formation along this hill.
Mm.
We believe it might
Seems
be
like he put some stairs in. Sort of.
We're not sure if that was Thain or a later dwarf, actually.
Oh dear.
The animals do tend to come up here, and sometimes, well, we get
Things happen.
burned pork.
Yes. Well, I suppose I'll put that somewhere later.
Ah yes, Thain's ancestral home. The metal door doesn't open easily. The signs in the small chamber to your left may help you determine how to enter, though. Yes. Thain believed very strongly in working with the natural stone as it was around.
So there's some sort of machine nearby that you need to use to open the door?
Indeed. Just to the left.
Aha, I didn't see it there.
Yes. It doesn't stay open long, but it stays open long enough. And the floor itself will trigger the opening of the door as you leave.
Oh, that's very convenient.
Indeed. We have kept this chamber well lit. It was believed to be... It is Thain's workshop, more or less. He taught us the crafting of tools. He taught us a love for living stone and its many uses.
I'm afraid the primary use I know of for living stone is burnt pork.
You may wish to follow this path a bit later. There are other things you may wish to view first rather than come back through.
Shall I go up then?
That would be fine. There is a small landing here. Thain, ever a believer in knowledge, whether it was knowledge gained from working stone and plant, as you see, and metal, knowledge of books, or simply the view of the world, observing the world around him.
You can see the entry point from here.
Indeed.
And a good place to view sunset.
Aye.
Those are some very nice tools.
Very much so. The pick is enchanted not to leave that chest. It is actually Thain's craft. It is Thain's craft. It has not broken since. Yes, if you look up, Thain had plans for further expansion, which we will come back to in the fullness of time. Now, further below, we have some more of Thain's lessons. Stockpile of tools and supplies. Thain always kept his homes well equipped to withstand anything that the world would throw at him.
The axe is well worn, but the swords are in nearly mint condition.
Well, violence was always a last resort. He grew plants in his home. Yes, you've noticed. Many dwarves even missed the room that you just found.
Oh, to be fair, the reeds aren't that thick.
Yes, but how often do dwarves actually look at plant life?
Fair enough.
Hide your great treasures
Oh
among
dear.
Yes. And a beautiful view of the lake. If you come into this chamber at night, the view there to that island is wonderful. It's lit by torches, actually.
Hopefully. I'll have to come back down here after sunset.
Indeed.
There's time.
Yes, he worked a glass barrier on the left and let the lava flow over it. The room is actually lit fairly well naturally because of that, even without the torches.
Beautiful.
And the patterns are wonderful to look at for relaxation.
That's rather deep.
Indeed, Thain was looking at expanding this home before he ended up bringing his people to a larger place to live. And this was built as a possible expansion tunnel and, well, a cleanliness room, as we call them.
Well enough. I imagine that that it is... Well, fair enough. I imagine there's nothing of particular interest down there.
Not much, other than the fact that even at such an early age in society, Thain was preparing for such things. A sizable portion of the famed dwarven hardiness and resistance to disease is simply the fact that we have kept clean so that the disease does not take hold as easily.
Fair enough. And now it is time for this hallway?
Indeed. They who ascend through darkness find salvation. This little chamber, well, passageway, is quite interesting. Can you hear me?
Indeed.
Sorry, there were some echoes there. This little passageway that you were in leads into a great network of underground caverns. We haven't explored them yet entirely, hence the sealed door. If you will hold here a moment, we may wish to continue momentarily.